Hello and welcome to episode 10 of my knitting podcast. I am really trying to reduce my stash. Trying be the key word. Wow, like mind blowing. That was so smart. Is that not a great idea? This episode is going to be for November 2024. It is November 30th today, so it is the perfect day to do a monthly roundup. At the end of this video, I'm going to talk about 5 gift ideas that you can make, knit or crochet for your loved ones, because December is coming, it's gift giving season, and usually around this time of the year I just get super stressed about what to give to people, so hopefully these ideas will be helpful to you. Alright, let's get started. My podcast usually follows the format of FOs, whips, acquisitions, so any type of knitting related acquisition really is just a haul, because it used to be yarn acquisition, then I stopped buying yarn, so then I just started talking about knitting acquisition, so now I think I should just call it haul, like knitting haul. And lastly, I sometimes talk about knitting plans, but this time around I think I'm gonna couple knitting plans with my 5 gift ideas, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. Alright, let's get started and let's talk about my first FO. Actually, there's only one FO, so I don't know why I said first FO. I guess regardless, it is still a first FO. But it is the Regolith. I realized that this pattern is called Regolith and not Regolith hoodie. I don't actually know like what the correct name is, but I'm pretty sure the official name is Regolith, but I call it Regolith hoodie because if you try to search it up online, it's really hard to identify it because, you know, Regolith is just a normal word, so you need the hoodie there to kind of specify that you're talking about the pattern. So that's why I usually say Regolith hoodie. This pattern is by Kiyomi Burgin. She is I think she's Canadian, and I think she's from Toronto, which is so cool. She created some patterns with her twin sister for the Daruma Cosmology collection. I decided to purchase the whole Daruma Cosmology collection PDF off of the Amirisu site so that I could knit this hoodie, because as of this moment this hoodie is not available as a standalone pattern, but I believe it will be available starting January as a standalone pattern according to what I saw on Kiyomi's Instagram, which is really great. If you want to make this, if you wait till January, you can just buy the standalone pattern instead of buying the whole PDF. I did actually pay for the full PDF on the Amirisu site. I think it was about like $20 something. I don't really remember, but it does come with several patterns, which is really great. It's just I don't think I'll be knitting anything else other than this one and another pullover that I want to talk about in a bit. If you are interested in knitting this pattern and only this pattern from the book, then I would suggest you wait until January when it's available. I wish that I was able to purchase the actual book, but it's kind of hard to find and I don't think they publish it anymore. But I am a pattern book collector and just like a book collector in general because I love art books and stuff like that, so I wish I had the physical copy, but I don't. So I do think, because I purchased the whole PDF and I did pay for several patterns in the PDF, I do feel inclined to knit something else from the book. I'll talk about that in a bit. Anyway, let's get back to the Regolith. I knitted this hoodie in a size small and I held 3 yarn together, all 3 of which are fingering weight. So I kind of did some math there and I figured the 3 would kind of bring me close to like maybe Erin, maybe a little bit smaller. I knitted a swatch and I just decided that knitting it in a size small with my yarn combination would match how I want it to fit on my body. I will say I was kind of worried about how the yarn was going to turn out because I did have a whole dilemma on which color to use for the yarn and what color I wanted the hoodie to be. I was debating between a green and a blue, so this is the blue. I also had like a green version which I really liked, and I used a yarn that I dyed myself, but that swatch ended up being a little bit too yellow on me, and after talking to a bunch of people in person and online, I decided that the blue would suit me better. In the end I went with the blue, which I am very happy about. I think I would have been happy with either colors, I just needed somebody to help me make a decision. I will list the 3 yarns I used down below along with a link to a video where I went in depth on each of the yarns that I actually used and also the yarn I dyed and all of that. So if you're interested in learning more about what I used for this hoodie, check that out. It will be in the description box. I uploaded a knit vlog 2 weeks ago, so definitely take a look at that if you are interested in knitting this hoodie. I go more in depth on my progress of knitting this hoodie in the video, so definitely check that out if you're interested. But for this video I will summarize it and give a brief explanation on the things I want to bring attention to and also some of the things I changed in the pattern. So the first thing I want to mention is the hood. The hood, when you finish the 3-needle bind off to connect it together, there is a little point at the end that I didn't really like the look of, and I don't think the pattern had any instructions to kind of soften that pointy part. What I did was I just stitched a diagonal line to soften the point in the inside of the hoodie. After sewing that diagonal stitch, I think it really helps soften the look of the hoodie. This is a really weird angle, just bear with me for a second, but what I did here was, you see the point that the 3-needle bind off created right here? I actually sewed a diagonal stitch right here like this just to soften up this point, so when I reversed it, it was a lot softer and rounder like it is now. But before, this was literally a 90-degree angle. So I would say maybe do the same thing if you were knitting this so that the hood could look a little bit more natural. That's really the only thing I changed about the pattern. I didn't really change anything else other than the fact that I didn't use the same yarn and I fixed up the hood. Everything else I tried my best to match the pattern exactly. Even the drawstring here, I followed exactly what the pattern had, and I will say the drawstring is very, very long, and I didn't realize that before when I first looked at the photos, but after me knitting it myself and wearing it, I was like, okay, these drawstrings are a little bit excessive. They go all the way to the ribbing for me. I kept thinking that maybe I knitted something wrong in the pattern and I messed up somewhere, but I read the pattern over and over again, and indeed these drawstrings are supposed to be that long. So I did compare it to some of the FOs that I saw in Ravelry, and their drawstrings are pretty long too. So I decided to just tie it into a bow because I think I like the look of a bow more than the long drawstrings. But this is something that's really easily reversible. Like if next week I decide I don't like a bow anymore, I can just unravel the bow. So this is not a really big deal. But yes, the drawstrings are very long, and if you're questioning yourself on whether or not you made a mistake because the drawstring is really long, I'm here to tell you no, because it's supposed to be like that. This hoodie is knitted on 6mm needle, and then the cuffs are knitted on 5mm needle, but because of my yarn and my gauge, I upsized a little bit. I went to 6.5 and 5.5. This is knitted bottom up, so you start with the ribbing and you knit the back panel first, or the back piece first. Then you knit the front piece, which is the exact same with the back piece, but you do neck shaping. Then you knit your sleeves, which were very easy because it's literally just like a rectangular with a tiny bit of increase on the bottom with ribbing, so that was not difficult at all. After you knit both sleeves, you do the hoodie. Nothing about this pattern was difficult, and if you are an intermediate knitter, like you've done some sort of lacing before, then it shouldn't be hard for you. Actually, the lace pattern here is really easy to do, and it's easy to memorize and fast to memorize, so that was not a problem at all. It was when I started on the hood I really felt the struggle of picking up stitches, because you have to pick up along the neckline and I kept getting the wrong stitch count, and also it's very tight around the neckline. I would say if you're a transit knitter, because I'm mainly a transit knitter, I would say leave the hood pickup section to at home, because if I did that on the train, like, it would have not been fun. But I did it in front of my TV on my couch, so it made it a little bit more bearable. But once I picked up the stitches for the hood, it was fine, and after basically like passing the drawstring hole, everything was a very smooth knit because it's the same pattern over and over again, and eventually you don't really need the pattern, like you kind of know what's going on already. So yeah, I feel like the hood was my biggest struggle, but other than that, everything was pretty easy. The sleeves and the body are all stitched together using mattress stitch, and mattress stitch is very clean. You don't really even see the connecting stitch, like the seam. It's right here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's very, very clean. I think if you are a knitter, maybe you can, but if you're talking to somebody who's not a knitter and they don't know that you've knitted this, they definitely cannot see this. The sleeves right here are also connected with mattress stitch, which was something I've never done before this pattern, so it was really great to learn new skills, and I'm overall very happy with this pattern, with how much I've learned and all my firsts with it, like knitting bottom up, mattress stitching, 3-needle bind off. All of that was very new to me. Now I feel like I've gained some more knitting skills, so I'm very happy with this pattern. I think that's about it. Let me know if I missed anything or if you have any other questions about this hoodie. If you do, definitely leave it down below. I'll try my best to answer, but I think that is it for now. I've touched upon majority of what I wanted to talk about, and definitely take a look at my knit vlog if you're more interested in seeing the full in-depth journey of me knitting this. Alright, let's move on to my first whip, which I honestly feel like this whip is going to be an FO super soon. I just need like maybe another day or two to knit on this. This shawl is from an MKAL from Amirisu, and they host this every year around fall time. It started, let's see, September something, like early September, and it ended October 11th. I remember the ending very well, but as you know, it's like November 30th today, or when you're watching this, it's gonna be December. So we are like a month and a half past the end date of the shawl, and I am just so impressed by everybody who was able to finish the shawl on the end date. Because how? Or maybe the last clue came out on the 11th, so let's say like mid-late October. I just don't know how people were able to follow the timeline of the MKAL, and I feel like for me to follow that, I just have to knit a lot more, or maybe I just have to be like faster in knitting. This was my first MKAL, and it was very fun in the beginning when I was able to actually finish the clue before the next clue came out, because I felt like I was actually part of the MKAL. But eventually on clue 3, it just took me too long. So, but let me backtrack a little bit. This is clue 1. The circle is a clue 1. And the inspiration was an umbrella. And then clue 2 are these little wings, which are actually like water splash from waterfalls. And then this is clue 3. I actually don't even know what the inspiration for clue 3 is. I forgot to watch the video. But the clue 3 was where I really struggled. This lace portion took me so freaking long, and this was what really slowed me down and made me not be able to follow their timeline. This section actually maybe took me about 2, 3, maybe even more, 3+ weeks to knit. I've never really knitted lace before. This is my first time knitting a lace piece that's like this big, and official lace knitting. Like, I don't even count this as lace knitting, although this is lace and not cables. But to knit an actual lace piece like this is my first time. And it just took me a while, and I'm so glad I did not have to do any major frogging, because I think if I had to do any major frogging, it would have just completely demotivated me. Like, I would have been like, no, screw this, I am not knitting this anymore. But don't worry guys, I focused, I used my brain, and we made it through. So this is clue 3. I finished clue 4 pretty quickly as well. I can't really show you because I have it on the needle. Let's see. Clue 4 is very easy and fast to knit. This lace knitting is a lot more enjoyable to knit, because this lace knitting is actually just really simple, like knit togethers or like slip knits. Like, those are really easy for me. But this section of the lace knitting, the stitches itself are not difficult. It's just there were so many combinations of them and so frequent that it took me a really long time. This one here, like, I could basically memorize the lace pattern by the end of it. Clue 4 is very simple and smooth knitting, but clue 3, I will say I struggled a little bit. And I remember watching one of the Amirisu videos that come with the MKAL, and at the end one of them actually said clue 3 was the hardest for her too, so I felt very validated in that. In the past week I went in and I did these scalloped edging, which is clue 5. I don't actually know what these are called, but I just call them scallop edges because I guess, isn't that what they're normally called in clothes? I have no idea. These little ruffle things. And I did that along clue 3, and right now I am just working on the same thing along clue 4. I should be able to finish this by Monday, so it's Saturday today. I should be able to do this next 2 days, so I'm not really worried about it. And after that, this is fully done. It is a very pretty color. So I wonder how I would want to wear this. I'm not actually sure. Or maybe I should tie it on a bag as like a decorative piece, or I don't know. I don't know how to wear this shawl. I guess I could just wear it as like a normal shawl over my shoulders like this. Haven't decided yet, but this is where I'm at with this whip. I did break into my second ball of this Juneau yarn that I bought. It's called like Juneau Woolies, and I do really like how this is knitting up. It's very soft and it feels really nice. I actually want to knit something else with this because I still have about maybe 350 meters left by the time I'm done this, and I feel like that might be able to get me through another shawl. While I was looking at pictures of this shawl, I encountered another pattern and I basically just fell in love with it, so I want to knit this other shawl now. The other shawl is called the Campanella shawl, and I think this one looks really good as well. If I can, I think I would try to use the rest of this ball to make this other Campanella shawl. I feel like this shawl is very wearable and it looks very cute. I really like the little ruffle edging on this one, and I like how it sits on the back of people and it creates a really beautiful V shape along the back. So yeah, this might actually be one of the patterns I knit after this one. So that's it for this shawl for now. It'll be an FO next month for sure. Alright, that's kind of it for my actual whips. I do want to mention, last month I talked about the Haru vest that I'm fixing. I did manage to frog the button band and the ribbing, and I am working on extending the cable section now. I think I've extended about, let's see, 1 cable row, and I wanted to do 4, so yeah, we're working on it. I'm just gonna take this very slowly. Every now and then I'll knit a row, but I am not going to rush myself in finishing this. I guess this will be a whip, like a fix-it whip for a while. So yeah, I'm going to leave this for now. Speaking of items I want to fix, I talked about my pearl cardigan in my last vlog as an FO, and I told you guys that my buttons are too small for the buttonholes that I've created, and I was thinking of changing the buttons to make them bigger. I haven't changed the buttons, but somebody in my comments in the last video told me that I don't actually even have to change my buttons. I just have to use embroidery thread and loop it around the buttonhole to tighten it up, and that should fix the problem, which I thought was a genius idea. So I think if you guys are finding yourself in the same position as me, where your buttonholes are too big for the button and you don't want to change the buttons, you can just use embroidery thread and just tighten the hole on the inside. And I just, wow, like mind blowing. That was so smart. I haven't done it yet. I will do it soon, but I just haven't gotten around to doing it. I'll fix this in December and show it in my next podcast. Thank you so much for sharing this tip with me, because I appreciate it so much, and I feel like I would have just ripped off all my buttons and redid it. But this idea was just so genius, and I would have never thought about it myself. So thank you so much for giving me all these great tips. I always say I learn so much from you guys, because I really do. You guys give me the best tips and the best ideas. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it, and keep them coming. If you have ideas for me that are smarter than what I'm already doing, please, please, please share them with me, because I really, really appreciate them. Thank you. Alright, let's move on. My whips are kind of all over the place this time around, because I'm doing a lot of like fixing and not a lot of like actual whips. So sorry, bear with me. I guess we just kind of went through my little fix-it pile there. But that's kind of it for my whips. I guess the next section would be acquisition or haul. I do have some yarn coming in the mail, because I'm going to knit something for my boyfriend, which now we're kind of moving into the knitting plan section. I plan to knit something for my boyfriend because my boyfriend has been asking me to knit a cable knit sweater for him for so long, but he wants me to knit this capital hoodie, which looks amazing, and I personally really like too, and I would love to knit this, but I just don't even know where to start. Like, I'm not smart enough to draft this myself, and I'm just like not experienced enough to create a whole cable knit sweater, and I also just don't have the energy to, with work and everything like that. It would just take a lot of brain energy from me. So I've been sitting on this project for literally a year and a half, maybe even almost 2 years now, and I feel really bad about it. So I gave him some other ideas, because I can knit from a pattern that uses less brain energy, but knitting from nothing is just too much. So when I went to Japan earlier this year, I bought this men's knit book, and there's just a lot of patterns in here that I think he would like, and I told him to just pick something in here and I will knit it, because that would be a lot more doable for me right now. In the future, if I have more time, I can definitely revisit this whole cable knit thing, but at the moment there's just a lot too much going on in my life right now for me to work on a project like that. So I told him it's gonna have to wait, but for now, choose a pattern in this book and I will knit it for you. So if you're interested in what this book has to offer, definitely pause and take a look. I love how Japanese knitting books have this table of contents. So we did end up going through a few patterns in here, and I do want to show you guys. Number one is this beautiful color work jumper or sweater. And then the other one that he really liked is this collared shirt jacket. This one is a simple cable pattern, and it has a collar at the neck. It doesn't seem too difficult. I actually already knitted the swatch. Earlier this month, I learned how to read Japanese knitting patterns, and I'm going to share with you the 2 videos and the resources I used to learn how to read them. I thought it would be really difficult, and I was worried that I wouldn't be able to knit from these books, but actually it only took me maybe an hour to understand what this pattern is saying. Of course, there's going to be a lot of learning along the way, but I was able to knit up my swatch with no problems. So definitely check out the videos that I have in the description bar that I used myself to learn how to read Japanese knitting patterns. I think the thing with Japanese knitting patterns is because they use charts. They don't actually write out each step, so it's a lot easier for you to understand the pattern and to read the diagram itself. Whereas like English knitting patterns, they actually specifically like write out a lot of these steps, which makes it hard for a non-English speaker. But for Japanese patterns, you can basically just look at the charts and kind of understand what's happening. So I do appreciate that. I did actually manage to knit up the swatch pretty quickly. I knitted it twice because we were trying to figure out which yarn to use, and neither of these really cut it for us. The first one here is Wool of the Andes from Knitpicks, and it looks really nice, the cable. I actually did the cable wrong here because I didn't read the instructions carefully. Like, I had to Google translate it, but I didn't think I was understanding it properly. But I figured it out in my second swatch. This one is like a tiny bit off, but it looks pretty similar. So this is the cable pattern here. The problem with this yarn is that it's too light. I needed to use a thicker yarn. Even though the pattern looks really nice on this, it was just not meeting gauge to the point where it was so drastically different that I can't use this yarn. So I went and I decided to use 2 upcycle alpaca that I had in stash from Knitpicks, and I held it together in hopes to meet gauge. I did meet gauge, but the problem was this yarn is too thick now and it doesn't look good with the cabling. I don't know if you can tell, but you can't really see the cables that well in comparison to the Wool of the Andes. Maybe just this specific yarn doesn't cast off the right shadows, and it just looks like a swatch with no cabling, if that makes sense. When I look at it myself just in person here, it's not very noticeable, and I didn't feel like I wanted to knit cables and just put so much energy on a yarn that would not be able to properly showcase the effort. So I decided this is not the right yarn, and this one, even though it looks really great, it's too small. So we bought some yarn from Wool Warehouse. It was my first time buying from Wool Warehouse, and I purchased some big merino. I've never used this yarn before. Actually, I've never used drops in general before. It's my first time buying drops, and I'm very excited to try it out. But the problem is I purchased this yarn a while ago and it's still not here because Canada Post is on strike, and I don't know when I will be getting this yarn. Yeah, so for now this is kind of just in waiting. Like, I'm just waiting for my package to arrive so I can start with the project. It's all okay because I have other things I can knit and other projects I can work on, so I'm not upset about it. But yeah, this is one of the knits that I am planning on doing in the next month or so, and I think this will be his Christmas birthday present. This will be one of his presents. It'll just be a little bit late, but yeah. Let's move on. I have a second knitting plan that I want to talk about, and this is the CASSINI pullover. Again, I think it's just called CASSINI, but I added the pullover because I don't know how else to specify this word to the knitting pattern. So yes, I'm just gonna call it CASSINI pullover. This is by Kiyomi's sister, twin sister, and her name is Sachiko, and she designed this pattern for the Daruma Cosmology collection. I wanted to do the CASSINI pullover because because I think it looks really cute and I think it would be very wearable. I did knit up a swatch with one of the yarns that I purchased a long time ago from AliExpress. I was just in the point in my knitting life where I wanted to experiment with a lot of yarn, and I decided to buy this big spool of yarn. I decided that like this would actually be the perfect color for the CASSINI pullover because it's just so cute. It's like a really girly pink. I feel like it would look really great with the pullover because it would look like a very girly piece, and I kind of want more of that in my wardrobe. My wardrobe right now is all just like blue, green, black, gray, and I don't really wear anything else. So that's actually one of my goals, is to knit with colors other than just green and blue. So I decided I'm going to start this by knitting the CASSINI pullover in this beautiful light pink. I knitted up a swatch already, and if you look closely at the swatch, it has bits of gray in it. I don't know if you can tell, but yes, it does give it a tiny bit of dimension, so I really like it. If you were to ask me if I would recommend this yarn, I would probably say no. Because it's not fun to knit. Like, the fibers are so thick and it's a little plasticky. The fibers just get stuck in your needle. It's kind of like knitting with mohair but worse. So I probably would not recommend this yarn to you, but because I already have it in my stash, I will use it. And don't get me wrong, it's not like horrible. It's just, if I had money to buy yarn right now, I don't think I would go for this yarn. I would put my money elsewhere, is what I'm trying to say. So that's how I feel about it, but I am going to use this yarn to knit the pullover so I can use up some of my yarn and stash. Very happy about that, although I purchased some yarn, but the yarn I guess is going towards a project, so it's okay, right? These are just all excuses I'm telling myself. But I am really trying to reduce my stash. Trying be the key word. I actually just went to go grab the spool of yarn to show you guys. It's a huge spool. It's 500 grams. It doesn't tell you the length. That's another thing. And the pullover only uses under 600 meters, which I felt like was a really safe option for something I don't know the length of. I tried to cut off like a meter to weigh it. When doing the math backwards, I think I get like a couple hundred in length. So we should be fine for the pullover. It is pretty thick. We'll find out. This will be a fun journey for us, I guess. And because the spool is so big, I'm not going to be bringing this on the train, so this will purely be a at-home knit. Maybe I can finish it by February and wear it for Valentine's Day. That would be a really nice outfit for that, because I don't have pink or red in my closet, and whenever it's Christmas, Valentine's Day, or Chinese New Year, I just have nothing to wear. You would think at this age I would have learned my lesson and purchased something red or made something red or in that color, right? But no. I'm scared of red, okay? She's scary. So that's my knitting plan. And now let's talk about the 5 patterns that you can knit or crochet to give to your loved ones this Christmas. Let's start off with the one that I think everyone is talking about right now, because it actually is a really great gift knitting pattern, and I have nothing but good things to say about this pattern. So yeah, I'm just gonna mention it, and I feel like everyone's gonna mention this one too, and you know what? We're all correct. And the one I want to mention is the Ripka pouch. Because it honestly is the easiest pouch to make, and it takes you like maybe 2 days or 3 days to do. It's so simple, it's customizable, you can make it however long you want. It's all up to you. It's so great. And I actually have gift knitted 2 of these already. I made 3. I made one for myself, my boyfriend's mom, and my mom. So all 3 of us have one of these, and it's just great for holding lip balm. So I have my lip balm in here and my eye drops in here. So this is what this fish holds. You can put it on your bag and have it hang, but I just put it inside my bag. I have a knit vlog on this if you want to check it out. I will link it down below and above. If you need to whip something up in 2 days or 3 days, definitely take a look at this. You can even just make a tinier fish that will hold just the AirPod. I made mine a little bit longer to hold lip balm. I knitted this one with crochet thread just to give it a little bit more of a sturdy fabric, and I think I really like that, because if I knit it with just merino or mohair, I feel like it wouldn't hold its shape as well. But the way I added crochet thread, I feel like it's really held up, and it made it into an actual sturdy pouch that I feel like won't break in my bag. So I really like what I did there. Actually, this pattern is meant for you to use scrap yarn. So if you have like 10 grams of some yarn that you have left over from knitting a sweater, you can use it to knit this. and I thought that was really great. This is fast, easy, and it uses up leftover yarn, so it can't get any better than that, okay? The designer of this is Ratsawitch. She recently changed her Instagram handle to Rat and Sea Witch, and she has another pattern that I purchased as well. Actually, I think her patterns are just really great gift knits because they're tiny and they're small. So the other one I purchased is called the Muzzleka purse. It's basically a clam pouch. I would assume this is a pretty fast knit as well. I haven't made it myself, but I have the pattern and I do plan on making it sometime in the next year probably. So this is a really great gift option as well. She also has the Piku's wash bag, which I think is a pretty usable pouch, so you can check that one out as well. Pouches are really great, and these are 3 patterns from this designer that I would recommend. But with that being said, I've only knitted the Ribka pouch and I really enjoyed it. The other 2 I haven't knitted before, but from what I know from knitting this, I don't expect to be disappointed. So these are 3 patterns from this specific designer that I wanted to mention. The next one I want to mention is actually an amigurumi, so one of those cute crocheted dolls that you've probably seen online already. This girl creates really pretty patterns. Her name is Hain-chan, and I've purchased her patterns before, and I've actually started crocheting one of her patterns. I bought it a long time ago. She has a bunch of patterns, and I purchased a few of them. Whether or not I got around to crocheting them, that's another story, but I actually crocheted one of her tuxedo cat patterns because I wanted to make it exactly like Wilfred. That one I already started on. I also purchased some of her other cute patterns because there's just so many. I bought one of the bunny ones. The penguin one is so adorable. I actually thought about making these in my friends or family's like Chinese zodiac animal, and I was like, okay, this is a great idea for a gift knit. But the problem was I think I'm not as good as a crocheter than I am as a knitter, and I think I enjoyed knitting a lot more than crocheting, so I never got around to it. But I think this would be a great idea for you if you crochet. So I did mention that I crocheted one of her patterns, and it's actually right here. I crocheted this like in early 2023, so it's been, oh my god, almost 2 years of this whip that I have not finished. I haven't even talked about it because I did this before I talked about knitting on my YouTube channel. In her pattern, it doesn't have a black chin, but I put a black chin because Wilfred has a black chin, so I tried to make it more like Wilfred. I even have the body right here, although this tail is acting really weird. Why are you acting like this? Oh my god. I put a wire in here. So you're supposed to put a wire so that you can move the tail to however you like it. Okay, that looks really weird. Okay, we're gonna fix this later. But the body is here, the head is here. I just have to sew it together. I have these little feet here that I'm supposed to sew together. As you can tell, I got majority of the pattern done. I just need to put it together, and I feel like that's where I got stuck and I lost motivation to do it because I don't really think I enjoy crocheting that much, to be honest with you. But if you do, this is a great pattern. This is giving me motivation to just finish it up because, like, come on Cindy, like, you have like maybe another day or 2 of work to do and this will be done. So why are you procrastinating? Alright, so this is one of them, and if you're interested, definitely check out some of her patterns. I think this is really cute, especially if your friend has a pet. You can definitely just buy a pattern in the animal of that pet and customize it to fit their specific pet's features. Is that not a great idea? So this is another gift idea. Those were 4 ideas, and my last idea is actually from this YouTuber called Amilife. Actually, there's a lot of people who create patterns like this, but I'm just obsessed with this specific YouTuber. Her name is Amelife, like A-M-E Life. I will link it down below. She has a video to teach you how to make hand knit bags from chunky yarn, and I just am so inspired. I bought the yarn right away. You don't need knitting needles, you don't need a hook, you don't need anything, you just need your hands and this chunky yarn. It should be pretty simple, I think. If you want to make this bag, definitely take a look at the video I'm gonna link below. With that being said, I've never knit it before, so I can't share with you my experience or how it actually is, but I do plan on doing a knit vlog of me just sitting down for 30 minutes and making this. Maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours, I don't know. But yes, I do plan on doing a video of me just working on this. So that will probably come in the new year. I'm not planning on gift knitting this to anybody. I'm just planning on wearing it myself. This yarn I purchased on AliExpress. In Ame Life's video, she created so many of these cute bags and then she put charms on it, and I thought it was the most adorable thing ever. So I really wanted to do something similar with my bag. But yeah, this will actually be something I will knit probably in the new year because I'm gonna be really busy in December. I didn't have the opportunity to take any time off this holiday season, so I'll be working. I mean, I won't be working on Christmas or Boxing Day, but I'll be working for majority of December, so I don't have a lot of time to just sit down and work on this. So this will come in the new year. Hope you guys liked the gift ideas. Hopefully it was good. If you have other knitted or crocheted or handmade gift ideas, definitely leave it down below. I'd love to hear from you guys, and don't forget to tell me what you are knitting because I would love to know where you're at in your projects and what you've been working on and all that kind of stuff. So don't forget to update me on your life because I would love to hear from you. That's about it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye! And happy holidays if I don't talk to you. I think I'll talk to you before then, but happy holidays if I don't talk to you.